Good afternoon. Let me repeat what I've said consistently, that my recommendation for these discussions would be that we follow the format which has been used on 7 successful occasions over the last 2 years, where the governor, working with the legislature, has adopted budgets. 7 times the governor and the legislature have worked together to adopt budgets. It's a format that's worked in the past. It'll work right now if we follow it. Number 2, on availability for meetings, I am available. I want to make the point that I was available when Governor Rauner was in Rome. I was available when Senator Radonio was not available in the week before Thanksgiving. But my position is I'm available for meetings. Well, the House will vote today on the question, should there be a Rauner lame duck tax increase? The resolutions are sponsored by Mr. McSweeney and Mr. Franks, and so we'll get a sense of the House, probably this afternoon, on whether the House would support the Rauner lame duck tax increase.
Isn't that angle actually more about who's not going to support the lame duck tax increase?
Any other questions?
Yeah, the state Republican Party has put out this new boss Madigan.
Any other questions?
Yeah, any thoughts about
any
the
other
effect those
questions?
things have?
Why you're labeling it?
Bad news for you. We didn't talk about LT.
That is a bummer. But can you speak more on this notion of the lame duck session and why it is that now you're moving forward, or the House is moving forward with these proposals ahead of the lame duck session?
Mr. McSweeney filed a resolution, Mr. Franks filed a resolution, and I believe they were before the committee. I believe the committee reported them to the floor, and they're the sponsors, and they'd like the House to vote on this question. So I think it'll be a very interesting vote as to how the House feels about Rauner's lame duck tax increase.
We have enough time.
I think the Republicans ought to be positive about the problems and not always be negative. And Republicans ought to recognize that this is a legislative body. And that means there are many people involved, and there's always consultation with the members of the legislature. That's what Mr. Harris is talking about, consultation. And the Republicans ought to acknowledge that. They ought to recognize it. They ought to live with it, work with it, and not be negative all the time.